Hello Vinaka and welcome to Talk Business, and if you're joining us from around the region, a big hello to you too. On the show tonight, we take an in-depth look at what Fiji stands to gain from strengthening its bilateral relations with Baltic superpower Russia. Later this week, the Prime Minister and other government ministers will be leaving for Russia on an official state visit. Well, on that note, Talk Business catches up with a local businessman who is already trading with the Russians, and we find out what other local investors and the government can draw from his experience. Also tonight, number crunching to the field. Find out why this accountant has decided to take up commercial farming. And we also catch up with the country's Livestock Council and how it's helping farmers turn their commercial businesses into successful ventures. That's all coming up in the next half hour. The first thing that often springs to mind when you think of Russia are well-trained spies, sophisticated armory, an impressive language, and of course, commies. Well, that's the Hollywood version, but it's not far from the truth. In fact, over half a century, the Russian economy, like that of the rest of the former Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, USSR, was centrally planned. The state controlled virtually all investment, production, and consumption across the country. Economic policy was shaped by the Communist Party, and the transition towards a market economy in the 1990s was painful after the end of the Soviet Union. This set into motion radical liberalization reforms and massive privatization, which wiped out the living standards of millions, while crime and corruption flourished. In 1998, the situation worsened when Russia was hit with a dramatic economic breakdown as their currency collapsed. But after a decade of crisis, Russia bounced back. Rising oil prices, increased foreign investment, higher domestic consumption, and political stability has bolstered the economic boom. Russia has become the fastest growing economy in the G8, ending 2007 with its 9th straight year of growth, averaging 7% annually since 2003. After years of underachievement, Russia has emerged as the world's leading natural gas exporter and the second largest oil producer after Saudi Arabia. It comes as no surprise then why Fiji is keen to tap into this economic boom. In fact, Fiji and the Soviet Union, as it was known back then, established diplomatic relations in 1974. But diplomatic ties only recently flourished when Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov visited Fiji last year. It was only then when relations deepened and the Russians showed keen interest in further strengthening diplomatic ties. A trade delegation will tag along with the government entourage in hope of exploring trade opportunities with the resource-rich superpower. While Russia may be new waters for our business sector to charter, for one man it's been second home. Anwar Khan may as well be Russian. He speaks the language fluently and knows their culture. That's because he's fostered ties with the Russians well before their economic progress hit the country. Back in 2003 was when this mutual relationship began, when Khan was building a hospital in Abu Dhabi through the Australian government. It was then, when he began to export construction steel from Russia, did he realize what the former Soviet Union could in fact offer.
It wasn't an easy journey. It was very difficult. You have to understand what they're doing, how you do business with them, and that was the hardest part of the whole lot. So after dealing with all these issues, and I end up in Ukraine and Russia.
It's never easy settling into a new country, let alone doing business as a foreigner. Compounded with a language barrier, and it can become an unpleasant experience where you're faced with the option of quitting. But hanging the towel never occurred to Khan. He endeavored to understand their culture and language and how the Russians do business.
I do speak Russian. I learned. I can read and write. I'm not 100% today, but I think by end of June I will be 100%. Now I'll probably be about 60%. I can get by, I can talk, I can communicate, I can get around. That was the key breaker of my relationship with the Russians and Ukrainians.
So the question then remains, why would the Russians, one of the wealthiest countries in the world, be interested in a small island nation like Fiji?
140 million people, one of the richest countries in the world. They don't owe any money to anybody. If we target 10% of the people, the rich 10%, and out of that, if we just take 2%, there's 2 million people that income will come to Fiji. We have already set up our tourism industry. From here, linked with Russia, Ukraine, and Germany, I have 2 staff that are working now. We set up a company called Fiji Time Travel. Now they are already linking us, Fiji, to Russia. So that was the first step. The second step was for me personally. I have a company called Diesel Refinery Fiji Limited. We are on the final stage to start construction. They supply diesel fuel to us directly from Russia to Fiji. Now that is a massive breakthrough in fuel dealing. I alone worked slowly, 5 years, and I'm here.
Well, the Russians, as Khan says, are huge risk takers, and Fiji already poses as a viable investment haven. Khan himself has secured a major diesel fuel deal, which could save Fiji around $96 million.
The people invest from Russia is they go to war-torn countries, like Rwanda, Ethiopia, Ghana, and places like that, and the South African states. They take the biggest risk takers because now they know the reward is beautiful. And most importantly, what they do is they share the wealth with the nation. I think our government actually made a very good move to open the market in Russia. They are beautiful people once in the very warm. Culturally, they're beautiful. In religion, they're all Orthodox background, beautiful churches. So they're very humble, but you have to know them. The problem we are facing today, in Fiji, we want to do business and investment to come in. We are 50 years behind. We want to know about you first. Russians want to make a relationship with you first. Once the relationship is there, the doors are open. They'll invest in energy. They will invest in procuring minerals. They will invest in harvesting. We have got granite and marble. They will go into it. And then we're looking at our produce. What do we produce here that they can export? We have, they don't have any sugar factories. So sugar would be one of the key elements they look at. We look at our market, fisheries, agriculture. So these are the things that will be benefiting. And tourism. If we can tap into a 0.05% of the market, we're looking at 200,000 people coming every year to the country. Now we're setting up that as we speak.
With a population of 143 million, if Fiji is able to attract a small portion of investment, Khan says it could well be in our favor. There are several areas of interest that could have the Russians coming our way.
That's what we need today for us to go one step on top and find which countries need us and how do we fit in with them. As a culture, we are living in 5 different cultures in Fiji, and thank God we are well renowned in the world, the best people in the world. So we are the best people in the world, and we can fit in with any culture we want. And I, one person, to tell them Fiji is beautiful, they said we can see it because we're always smiling, we're always smiling. We talk to people on the street, we say hello. They don't have that. And I think this World Cup going to Moscow, Moscow is a beautiful city. It's very expensive, very safe for people to walk around the street. It's a very modern city with an old history and old culture, and it's a place to see. And then we like to work with. I personally would like to work with the government to set up the businessmen a little forum to see how the investors could come into Fiji.
For someone who's been in the business with the Russians, says it's important that Fiji is serious when it comes to extending political ties into business.
We have to be cautious, but I would like to repeat this. You ask them, if you ask them, say, oh, can we see your profile and we want to check you out, and they'll tell you no. You don't ask the rich people this question. You don't ask, you make a relationship with the rich people. And once you make the relationship, they will open every door to say, here who I am. I have this wealth, I'm from here, I do this, I do that. So I think we have to take a different approach to these countries because they are rich, they don't need you, we need them. So that if we have that approach, and we will be very successful. When we go there, we must come back with something. And that something is not money. That something is not material. That something is what are we going to learn. Now that message to everybody going there, I go back to my first discussion with you. In 22 years, if these people from communism to reform to a free trading nation, what did we achieve in last 35, 40 years since the British left? How do we go forward? Learn from them. How they went forward in 22 years, from zero to absolutely breathtaking places, you'll see. Now, if we learn that and we use their ideas and systems to say, we can be better, we have best people in the world, we have the best weather in the world, we have the best land in the world, we have the best sea in the world, and we just have to learn how to become the number one in the world. And I think we can do that. We have a smile, we have tourism, beautiful beaches. So if we explore through the tourism market and bring them in here and show what we have, I think investment in Fiji for them will be as easy as ABC.
In this fast-moving technological world, demand for white-collar lucrative jobs is high. Dog Business caught up with one of the rare few who actually traded his high-paying white-collar job to get his hands dirty. Atu Kaitambu is a qualified accountant. He was more than happy to give up a $70,000 a year job and instead venture into dairy farming.
And I started a huge pineapple farm. I planted 50,000 pineapple plants. And I planted dalo, and I had cattle. Those are the only two things I was planting.
He bought this 89-acre piece of land here in Navua, just 5 kilometers inland from the main highway, some 10 years ago. It was only 2 years ago that he decided to try his hand out in agriculture. As expected, it wasn't easy at first. With only 17 cattle at first, that has since doubled. With close to $70,000 investment from his own pocket and a generous $21,000 grant from government, the Nanroga native today boasts a variety of crops in his sprawling Navua farm.
And now today, you can see I have around 20,000 dalo down there. and I have revived pineapple. You've seen the cash crop there, it's coming. Yam, the last year I planted more than 4,000, and the yam, we are still harvesting yam since March.
So did he regret leaving his lucrative white-collar job?
Initially, yes. When I came, you left a nice house with electricity, with all the city, life activities, and then just overnight I come here without electricity, and then I bought solar system, and you bathe in the river, and we get a dam, and the water was so cold. Yes, initially I was a bit, I was thinking about it, but after a few months, I adjust myself, and then I tell myself, this is it. This is my new profession, and this is my new future.
It wasn't long before the former accountant stamped his mark on the local market.
For the cash crop, I've been selling cash crop to Tanua Plaza, also to Holiday Inn, and this cash crop has reached the Corn Coast. I've been selling to Naviti, Hadaway, Natavora, and I also sell to small markets on the roadside in Navua area, and the market in Navua. And don't forget, I also sell in villages.
Apart from local markets, his produce, especially dalo, is also making its way to the Chinese market.
This dalo I'm planting is only Urunivonu. This is the dalo that goes to the Chinese market, and agro-marketing buy from me right on the farm gate. And it's not enough. I'm planting more, and I'm not supplying more. The demand from the garden is not meeting the market.
Ketambu plants not less than $2,000 suckers in a month. To meet the demand from China, he hopes to plant more than $50,000 tops in a year.
That area will be planting not less than $50,000 when we finish that area. And the pineapple, I'm planning to, by end of October, to have 20,000 on the ground. And the yam this year, I'm planning to plant not less than 5,000 by end of October this year.
With a master's in commerce, Ketambu says what a better way to put that into practice. Last year he was awarded the best yam farmer in the Central Division. With his growing farm and good quality produce, he was also selected to be one of the 2 recipients of the unique Farm to Table initiative. The program organized by Taiwan Technical Mission provides training to farmers to upskill themselves and improve their yield. Now Ketambu is promoting frozen root crops in the country.
You see now the lifestyle has changed immensely in the city. Working mothers and working fathers, they don't have time to come out from work. As you know, there's a lot of demand by employers now. They want us to work long hours. And when can they come and buy root crop? I've been seeing this, I've been studying this, and it's the same as in overseas. So it's easier for them to go buy from a supermarket and keep it home.
So how has his experience been so far for the former accountant?
Farming is not like starting up any other kind of business where you need a lot of capital upfront. Farming is a profession that people who have surplus fund can invest in.
Ketambu's 18-year-old son, a second-year university student, also lends his father a helping hand on the farm.
Ever since he left the job, there's big improvement in the farm. There's a lot of improvement regarding, and he has learned new things while he's in the farm.
Sailosi is following his father's footsteps. He's also studying commerce at the university. We asked him if he wanted to follow his father into agriculture.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And farming, firstly, it has helped me, the family, in health-wise and money-wise expenses and all that.
At the end of the day, one valuable lesson we get to learn from Ketambu's agricultural journey is
this profession is no longer, to me, seen as a village profession.
And finally on the show tonight, they were formed 2 years ago to look after the interests of farmers. Today, the Fiji Crop and Livestock Council is a fully funded organization supported by the European Union to assist our agro-based industries. Talk Business caught up with the woman heading the organization to find out just how farmers will benefit from such an association. Lavinia Komaitotoya talks to us about the issues farmers face and what the council will do about it.
At the end of the day, farmers don't really have the time to come and knock at the table of government and fight for their issues. Hence, that's why the Secretariat was formed. There's 2 issues at the table right now with government that we have been working on. One is the pork issue, where we have imported pork coming into the country, and so we are working with the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Agriculture. There is a quarantine team and the FERCA team on board in this particular group, and we're working to increase or to put in place a 32% duty so that we can protect the local farmers and the bacon trade in Fiji. It's something that is never mentioned, but it's actually quite demotivating for farmers when they plant and only to have their crops or their livestock stolen. So it's not normally talked about, but again, the council and the secretariat has taken up this issue at a high level. And one of the first issues that needs to be looked at is our laws. So that's where we're starting, and then bring it down to the local farmer. To get access to finance, and one of the work that we're doing together with our funding partners, ITC, which is International Trade Center, is to work with the bankers to ease access to finance for our farmers. That will help our smallholder farmers, take out financing and make the step from small farming to commercial farming. We're grateful to our funding partners to be able to do this, but the council is really made up of private business people who are successful farmers, many of them. And so what we're going to also do is bring in the council and marry them with Ministry of Agricultural Projects, and we'll work with the ministry to make sure that whatever projects that work with the ministry, that they are successful. And this can be done by successful business people who have farmed and know the risks and the positives of farming.
That's a wrap for this week. We'd love to hear from you, so do send us an email, talkbusiness@fijitv.com.fj. Remember, you can view what you've just seen on our website. That's www.fijitv.info, and follow the links to Talk Business. Thank you for joining us. Do join us again at the same time next week. Until then, have a productive week.